This complete stranger knew every one of her kids' names, even the ones that weren't born yet, according to this Redditor on Ghost Stories. Opie is an HVAC technician who showed up for a job in a nice neighborhood, but surprisingly, this house was in complete disrepair. It had overgrown grass, cracks in the sidewalk, decor that was broken in the front yard, and the windows were completely blacked out. So his coworker knocks on the door, and he's told to go around back to the basement for work. So they get to the basement. It's dark, creepy, musty smelling. There's no other lights. They had to bring their own light to be able to see, but they get to work. And next thing he knows, he cuts into a wire and sparks fly. And he knows that he cut the breaker on this, but it blew the main breaker, so he's now in the pitch black. So he makes his way over to the breaker box, turns the main one back on, makes sure the proper one is turned off, and that's when out of the corner of his eye, he sees this elderly woman just staring at him. It must be the house owner, but she doesn't say a word, and he just says hi, but she doesn't respond, so he just goes back and continues doing his job. Then he gets to a point where he's going to have to call a coworker in to finish up the rest of the work. So they break for lunch, wait for the coworker to show up, and they're outside eating. So when the coworker shows up, they go back into the basement, and that's when they find that all of their tools have been packed up neatly and are sitting by the stairs. They didn't do it, they're freaked out, but the third coworker thinks that they're just messing with him. So he finishes up his job, but it's time to put in the thermostat, so he goes upstairs to do so, and the other two, including OP, follow up behind him on the stairs. And that's when OP feels like someone is staring at him. So he turns around and looks down at the bottom of the stairs, and the old woman is standing there just staring at him. And she said her eyes look like they were glowing white. And he whispers to his coworker in front of him that she's at the bottom of the stairs. His coworker turns around and looks, and he says, "Bro, she's not there." So OP turns around to look too, and she was gone. So he's freaked out, but they just go on upstairs, and that's when they find the third coworker in the kitchen working on the thermostat with the elderly woman standing there with him. So there's no way that could have been her at the bottom of the stairs. She's been quiet this whole time, but then all of a sudden she looks at the third coworker, Arnold, and says, "How many kids do you have?" "3, right? Anne, Barbara, Chuck. But there's another one, isn't there? There's one on the way. And your wife wants to name her Clara." And Arnold is dumbstruck. This is not a house that looked like it would have internet. She didn't have a cell phone, and even if she did, this company does not give out their employees full names where she could have looked any of this information up. Not to mention, how would she even know that the unborn child is going to be named Clara? But then she turns to OP and just says, "Marissa, Marissa, Marissa." And Marissa was the name of the unborn child that his wife had miscarried previously. Now, how could she have possibly known that? So OP gets in his truck and Arnold gets in his van and they speed out of there. And they didn't even collect money, which their boss was upset about later. But what was that? Was she possessed? Was she a demon? Have you ever experienced something like that? Send your stories to the email in my bio so we can talk about those here too.